Hello, good afternoon. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Welcome to this unit, Oral Literature. Today we're going to introduce the unit. We're going to learn what the unit entails. What is oral literature? Its features, its function, and where it originates from. That will be our objectives of the day. Also, we'll learn more on what your community believes in, where it originated. Yeah, that is all about oral literature. And so allow me to start. We'll start with the definition of oral literature. By the word oral, it means word of mouth. So the word oral means by word of mouth. Secondly, the submission is from one generation to another. So this is customs or tradition, beliefs, call them, all of them that are transmitted from one generation to another by word of mouth. For example, songs, proverbs, yes, all of those. So we'll start with the functions. We've already described what is oral literature, so we'll go to the functions. Number one, oral literature is a source of entertainment. This is where people derive amusement or fun from such aspects of oral literature as cultural songs. For example, songs performed in weddings, Harambee meetings, and other communal gatherings. The oral narratives help people to pass time and derive enjoyment. For example, when a baby is born, there are songs for the childbirth and to celebrate both the mother and the child. That is where people enjoy and they do pastime. The second function, it educates people on moral values or good behavior. That is, songs, for instance, communicate a direct message and attack immorality. We know of proverbs. These are wise sayings. They speak a direct moral message which narrative lead to moral lesson. Number three, oral literature sensitizes people on social and communal values. These are the virtues that upheld the community. For example, honesty, and also they also shun bad behaviors like stealing, being rude, the vices. Function number four, it teaches about culture. What is culture? It is a people's way of life, and it is well reflected in oral literature. For example, the way people were governed before, their form of religion, division of labor. You'll hear some people will say, a while ago or earlier, a boy could do this, a girl could not do this. Women could do this, men could not do this. And then there is rite of passage. This is birth, circumcision, marriage, death. We get to know all about it, and mode of dressing from traditional to modesty. Function number five, having learned about your culture, it gives people confidence in their culture as they get to understand why a community lives the way it does. Number six, people learn about their history or their heritage. Get to learn where did you originate from. This means that, for example, it helps us, it links the past with the present. History links the past with the present so that it can help us understand ourselves better, because the present is a product of the past, to understand where we are and where we are headed to. So today many young people know their names that seem to tie them to a certain past name and their clan and tribes. For example, many people from different communities, they have a middle name, but the middle name comes from either the grandmother or grandparents. Yeah. Another point, having understood our culture forms of good background for us. We know other people's culture. Once you know other people's culture, you are able to even respect them and their beliefs. Because you'll hear some cultures practice a certain rite of birth. You'll hear a certain community practice a certain rite of passage, and you'll not be judgmental about it because you understand and appreciate their culture. We'll go to classifications of oral literature. There are main genres of oral literature. Number 1, oral narratives. Number 2, songs of oral poetry. Number 3, proverbs and wise sayings. 4, riddles, tongue twisters or verbal play. And the short forms are the tongue twisters, riddles, proverbs, and wise sayings. Yes, those are the short forms. Yeah, you'll get some other places or in the net they call them short forms, which is pretty good. It's not different from that. Yeah. So we get to understand, or we get to know, where does oral literature originate from, or where does it originate from? We get to know that oral, we said it is from word of mouth, from one person to another, from a generation to another generation. For example, you get to know about different songs, birth songs, circumcision songs, marriage, wedding songs, wedding songs. They date back to the grandmothers, grandparents. But how do you get to learn about them? You get to learn about them through the passage, from word of mouth, because by that time there was nothing to be written on, no computers, so it's words transmitted from word of mouth up to this generation. Number 1, the existence of oral artists in society. These are the men or women with creative prowess who are able to spin stories and recreate existing ones afresh. These are people who created the story we pass from one generation to another. Number 2, group work. Group of people relaxing together spin a story to logical conclusion. Every day, a class can create a story by simply asking one student to start anywhere, and others, creative, can on in turns until they are a logical story. Number 3, it is possible that some stories may have deliberated created in those in authority to valid existing order of things. For example, elders will spin a story to force compliance. Maybe they want something to happen in the community, and so they'll just create a story that by the end of the story, the moral lesson would be either obeying the elders, or even being trustworthy, truthful, all those virtues. Number 4, some ordinary happens become distorted and exaggerations, such that in them they reach epic and fictional proportions. For example, legends. Many of the legends, these are people where situations are at most exaggerated. Number 5, the fear of mystery and unknown could have led to generation of related stories. For example, existence of ogres or giants. You could hear that maybe there is an ogre. It appears to a certain girl in a village, and by the end of the story, the moral lesson is all that glitters is not gold. You should not love things that are offered to you freely. Yeah, so by the end of the stories, or by the end of the narratives, there's always an moral lesson. But mostly the oral artists are these men or women that are gifted. They're people who are gifted in telling stories. Yeah, they'll manipulate the data and they'll give you a hell of a story. So that is how oral literature originated from, or where it originated from. So that will be the end of our lesson today. If you may have any question, you could ask. Thank you for listening. There will be an assignment in the portal and a journal too, and there will be a survey next there. So purpose to do all the exercises. Have a nice afternoon.